Namaste. Welcome to this video. Today, I thought it would be really helpful to talk about the purge phase in the creative cycle. It's something I'm going through right now. That's why I felt inspired to talk to you about it as it's happening in real time. The purge phase in the creative cycle, it comes after we have a really huge breakthrough. Maybe we do some really deep healing work, and then a lot of creative energy follows that, and we step into something greater. We feel more expanded and connected to source energy than ever. Maybe we step into this new dimension of consciousness, this higher state of consciousness, where we just feel more connected to all that we are. We feel more open to allowing, you could say, the divine energy to flow through us and to create through us. And then inevitably, once we do the healing work, we go through that huge breakthrough, we just have this outpouring, this surge of creative energy flooding through us. Inevitably, there's the purge phase. And this is where old beliefs, heavier, older aspects of you start to come up and start to almost like want to like pull you back down, right? And they're like, and that's how it can feel. It can feel like there's a heaviness sets in, like all of that creative energy flowing through you. What it did is it kicked up more debris, you could say psychic debris, more older wounds, more maybe some, you could even say this life or past life trauma, trying to tell you, no, you can't be that big, you can't be that expansive, you can't be that connected, that's not safe, stay small. It might feel like those energies are reaching up, trying to pull you back down. And this is kind of like this movement of you heal, you create, you step into something really great, and as you do that, you kick up even more of your shadow for you to see. And this is a beautiful movement. This is why the creative process and following your dharma is so healing, because every time you do step into a greater state of consciousness, a greater state of sharing, there's older aspects of yourself for you to meet. Maybe there's the 10-year-old that arises that says, remember last time we tried to share from the heart and we tried to be big and authentic and our true self, and our teacher, she told us we were no good, She told us maybe we had a teacher, I don't know, when we were growing up that told us that we can't do what we want to do. We have to, fit in this box. We have to fit in this square. And so that part of you might come up and say, hey, what's going on here? You're being so authentic. You're being so real. You're being so vulnerable. Don't you remember what happened to me? And so this is beautiful. It's like you don't want to resist this movement of these heavier parts coming up. You don't necessarily want to keep plowing forward. Sometimes you want to let that creative surge come through and allow the things to come up and then sit for a long time with these parts of yourself and hold them and breathe into them and feel into them inwardly that you love them, feeling into I love you to those parts, and exhaling it's okay to those parts of you. And that's what I did today. I felt a lot of heaviness come up. I've been making so many videos, been feeling really connected to my divine nature, and just been in this real amazing flow state. And today I felt that purge, that purge phase come up. And because I've been through it so many times, it's not something I thought, I used to think like, oh, what's going on here? Is something wrong? I was so in the flow, like, what did I do, But because I've been through this countless times, this time I realized the movement is just to lean into that and go with that flow with at all times, right? And so today I did a lot of sitting in silence. I did a lot of self-care. I just had like a really healthy green smoothie, like really kind of spoiling that inner child with like, we're going to make this day about you, or spoiling those older parts of you, like giving them so much love, like really those parts of you just want to know it's safe, it's okay. And if they come up, if you go in, if the purge phase in the creative cycle arises in your being and you resist it and you try to push it away and you escape and you don't like those parts, well then you just push them down into your shadow and you don't actually stay in flow. You don't actually keep ascending. It's like, okay, you have to allow those parts of you to come up and integrate, so that you can stay open, so that you can stay in this forward movement in your dharma. It's like the universe says, you want to stay open, you want to stay creative, well, feel this old wound from when you were 8 or whatever, 12 or high school. Feel this old heartbreak that hasn't been resolved yet, or something like that. Because that's the best time to feel it, because when we're open and we've had this creative outpouring and we feel so flooded with grace, that means there's a lot of light here. And this is the time when you want the older aspects, the wounds, the trauma to come up, because there's so much divine healing energy available. And so that's why this happens. That's why that's like why like following your creative passions is one of the most healing things you can do, because the divine really does show up in your life. You really do become this conduit, and that means you are opening yourself to more light and more grace, which means those older parts of you, those wounds, they get so much, they have this ability to absorb so much more healing energy and love, and they start to recognize their own divine nature. It's like these parts of us, they just want to come with, that 10-year-old who, the teacher, going back to the previous example, that teacher who said, you're worthless or whatever. Well, he just wants to know, or she just wants to know, oh, it's safe. Okay, there's a loving parent here, an unconditionally loving presence here. And then you integrate this part of yourself, and then you move back into your flow. And the way to go through this the smoothest is not to be alarmed when that purge comes up. When you create, maybe you are creating something, and when you're creating it, it feels so divine and so inspired, and you just know how good it is, and you're getting goosebumps and tingling when it's happening, and you just feel so connected to your higher self. And then you post it. And then maybe the next day, all these thoughts of self-doubt come up of, I'm not good enough. What was I thinking? Maybe you're just at the beginning of your creative journey where you're posting things and you're not getting much feedback. And you're taking that to mean it's not very good or not valuable. I did this all the time. But that's not true. It takes time. It takes patience to really cultivate something. It's like a bamboo plant. For 3 or 4 years, it grows underground, it germinates underground, and it's only in the last year when it shoots up out of the ground and it grows like however many feet high. And it's like that on our creative endeavors at times too. Sometimes we just have to keep pouring into it, and before we start to see the results. So this journey, it's about trust and to know, when you are in the creative flow and you do create something beautiful that you know is from your heart, that your higher self channeled through you, that you felt, and the way you know this is true is how you feel when you were making it. It was like exciting, it was inspired. You knew it would help somebody, right? It felt amazing, it felt healing. So when you do that, and then the next day, when the purge phase of the creation cycle arises, and the doubt and the like the feelings of I'm not good enough or stuff comes up, the key here is to feel those feelings fully. Don't run from them. Open to them, like I've been saying, but also don't believe them. Don't merge with them in the sense of don't become identified with them, with the thoughts. You want to merge into the inner child, like in a sense, like you want to be the greater space is a better way to say it. You want to be the greater space for that inner child, that wounded inner part of you, that unworthiness wound. You want to be this greater space of unconditional love that's holding that wound. You don't want to fall into identification with it. So I hope that helps you. So yeah, I'm going through the purge phase today. Been through it probably hundreds of times at this point, a lot. I used to go through it literally every single time after I'd post a video. Every time I'd post a video, I'd be like, oh, fuck, is that good? Or write a blog or whatever. But I've just learned through so much experience on this path of following my dharma, my creative passions, that, yeah, this is normal, and it's just a movement you want to lean into. It's like you want to lean into the pain, lean into the trauma, lean into the old beliefs, and just feel and let them feel and process through and integrate. And yeah, that's the movement here, guys. So I just wanted to give you guys this gentle, loving reminder, and to tell you that you are so loved, you are so supported, to keep following your hearts, to keep listening to your inspirations, and to, most of all, keep trusting. So, namaste. I will see you in the next video.